Construction Industry Security of Payment Ordinance Chapter 652 of the Laws of Hong Kong. The Construction Industry Security of Payment Ordinance aims to improve the long-standing payment problems in the construction industry and provide better protection for the stakeholders in the supply chains of the construction industry to receive their entitled payment on time, while also seeking to help reduce occurrence of wage arrears of workers. With improved security of payment, it is expected that the project procurement cost could be reduced over time as price premiums for risk in association with payment problems will gradually decline. Before introducing the contents of the ordinance in detail, let's talk about the main provisions of the ordinance to give an overview. Firstly, the ordinance prohibits unfair payment terms such as pay when paid. Pay when paid is a common provision in subcontract which stipulates that even if the claiming party has already completed the works or provided the services, he can only receive the payment after the paying party has received payment from the upper-tier contract. Moreover, the ordinance imposes time limits for the paying party to give response and make payment after a valid payment claim is made. In gist, there are a payment response deadline of 30 days and a payment deadline of 60 days. Another main provision of the ordinance is the introduction of adjudication mechanism. The basic principle is that when a payment dispute arises, the claiming party has a discretion to refer the payment dispute to adjudication. The adjudication mechanism provides a platform for contractual parties to resolve payment disputes through an independent adjudicator. The adjudicator can decide matters in relation to a payment dispute based on documents only, and adjudication proceedings generally do not require complex legal procedures like formal hearings involving lawyers. The time frame for adjudication is relatively short and the costs are comparatively low, and most importantly, the adjudicator's determination is binding on two parties. It will take only about 3 months from the time the claimant initiates adjudication to the time the respondent pays the adjudicated amount. This represents a significant improvement over the current situation, where serious cases often take more than 6 months, and sometimes as long as 2 to 3 years, to settle. The ordinance also provides measures to prevent the claimant from abusing the adjudication mechanism. For example, if a party initiates the adjudication proceedings without a reasonable prospect of success, the adjudicator may order that party to pay a higher proportion of the costs of adjudication proceedings. Thirdly, in case of non-payment of the admitted amount or the adjudicated amount, the unpaid party has the right to suspend or slow down the progress of the work or supply. It is important to note that the exercise of the right to suspend or slow down progress is subject to specific circumstances under the ordinance, including 1. The paying party has admitted that there is an amount due but fails to pay the admitted amount in full by the payment deadline, or 2. The adjudicator has made a determination but the respondent fails to pay the adjudicated amount in full to the claimant by the payment deadline. Only in these two specific circumstances will the unpaid party have the right to suspend or slow down the progress of work or supply under the ordinance. However, under other circumstances, such as the mere presence of a dispute between contractual parties on the payment amount, the claiming party is not entitled to exercise the right to suspend or slow down progress. The overall structure of the ordinance consists of 6 parts. Part 1 is the preliminary, which is divided into 3 divisions mainly to stipulate the effective date of the ordinance, the interpretation of relevant terms and the scope of application of the ordinance. Part 2 regulates the payment mechanism and consists of 4 divisions mainly to stipulates the 30 days payment response deadline and 60 days payment deadline, as well as prohibit unfair payment terms, such as pay when paid. Part 3 is related to the adjudication of payment disputes and it consists of 7 divisions. It first sets out the circumstances under which a payment dispute arises, followed by how the claimant can make an application to initiate adjudication, the procedure for adjudication, the powers of the adjudicator, the effect of the adjudication, the method of setting aside and enforcing the adjudicator's determination, and other matters relevant to adjudication. Part 4 provides for the right of a claiming party or claimant to suspend or slow down the construction work, or the supply of related goods and services. Part 5, with 4 divisions, mainly provides for various miscellaneous matters of the ordinance, including the functions of the Secretary of Development and a nominating body, the service of documents and the power of the Secretary to make amendments to the schedules etc. Part 6 amends the Administrative Appeals Board Ordinance. In relation to the Secretary's decision on the registration and application of a nominating body, Section 63 of the Ordinance provides that a nominating body may appeal to the Administrative Appeals Board. For this purpose, relevant amendments to the Administrative Appeals Board Ordinance are required. This briefing will mainly focus on Parts 1 to 4 of the Ordinance. There are 4 schedules to the Ordinance. Schedule 1 specifies the premises excluded from the definition of residential unit in Section 2(1). To avoid nuisance to the general public, the ordinance does not cover repairs, alterations, etc. of existing private residential buildings. The ordinance used the term residential unit to define this type of exempted works. However, the term residential unit could mean a separate unit constructed solely or principally for human habitation. This meaning is relatively broad and could include hotels or hostels, etc., which are also constructed for human habitation. However, hotels or hostels, etc., which do not involve the general public and are therefore not intended to be exempted under the ordinance. The purpose of Schedule 1 is to exclude hotels, hostels, etc. from the definition of residential units. Schedule 2 contains a list of specified structures, including buildings, slopes, earth-retaining structures, roads, works for protecting shores or harbors, electricity, fuel or gas, telecommunications, water supply, drainage, sewage and waste treatment facilities. The construction work under the ordinance must be carried out in these specified structures. Schedule 3 contains a list of the specified bodies for the purpose of the definition of specified entities in the ordinance. As far as the specified entities are concerned, more details will be provided later when we come to introduce the definition of public contract. In brief, specified entities include the government, statutory or public organizations and utilities companies. Schedule 4 specifies the minimum contract value of a construction contract to which the ordinance applies. The minimum contract values are set to avoid imposing disproportionate legal and contract management burdens for small-scale works.